Commander Ta Kim stood in the doorway of his empty house. The evening air was cold on his skin. After 6 months away on a secret military mission, he had expected a warm welcome home. Instead, silence filled the rooms. "Ju!" he called out. His voice echoed through the house. No answer came back. Tai dropped his heavy bag on the floor and moved slowly through the living room. Something was wrong. The coffee table was pushed to one side. A plant lay on the floor, dirt scattered across the rug. Ju would never leave the house like this. She was too neat, too careful. He pulled out his phone and called her number. The familiar ringtone sounded from the kitchen. Todd followed the sound and found Ju's phone on the counter next to a half-chopped onion and an unwashed knife. Dinner preparation interrupted. His heart beat faster. Ju wouldn't leave without her phone. She wouldn't leave dinner half-made. She wouldn't leave without telling him, especially on the day he was coming home. Tom moved through the house room by room, looking for clues. In the bedroom, the closet door stood open. Ju's clothes hung neatly inside. Her shoes were still by the door. Her purse sat on the dresser. But on the floor beside the bed, he found something strange. A small metal object the size of a coin. It was not from Earth. Ta had seen similar technology during his classified work. He slipped it into his pocket. He checked the bathroom next. Nothing unusual there. Back in the living room, he noticed small burn marks on the carpet near the window. They formed a perfect circle, like something had landed there. Tai took a deep breath and called the police. 2 hours later, Officer Park closed his notebook with a snap. "Commander Kim, it looks like your wife left on her own. There's no sign of forced entry. No broken windows or locks. We'll file a missing persons report." But what? Tai asked. "Well, sometimes people just leave. Maybe she didn't want to be found." Ta shook his head. "You're wrong. My wife didn't leave me. She was taken." Officer Park shrugged. "We'll keep looking, but without evidence of a crime." After the police left, Tai sat at his computer. He needed proof. He opened the security system app on his laptop. The smart home cameras might have caught something. Most of the footage from last night was gone, deleted, but one outdoor camera still had some video. Todd watched the grainy footage from 9:37 p.m. 3 tall figures moved across the yard toward the house. They moved too smoothly, too quickly to be human. One turned toward the camera, and Todd froze the image. The face was mostly hidden in shadow, but he could see enough. The eyes were too large, set too far apart. The neck too long. Whatever had come to his house last night, it wasn't human. Tez's military training kicked in. He checked his gun, then searched the house again, this time looking for evidence the police had missed. He found 3 more of the small metal objects. One under the couch, one in the hallway, one by the back door. In the bathroom, he noticed something he'd missed before. A small drop of blue liquid on the white tile floor. He took a sample with a cotton swab and sealed it in a plastic bag. Tai sat at the kitchen table with his findings spread before him. His hand shook as he realized the truth. His wife hadn't left him. She hadn't been taken by human kidnappers. Ju had been abducted by something not from Earth. Tai opened his laptop again and searched for similar reports in the area. 3 other people had disappeared in the last month, all from within 5 miles of his home, all with no explanation. He picked up his phone and dialed a number he wasn't supposed to have. "General Choi, it's Commander Kim. I need access to the satellite imagery from last night." He paused. "Yes, sir. It's about my wife. And I think it's related to Project Starwatch." Ta looked at the strange metal objects. "Sir, they've come to Earth. And they've taken my wife." Tai sat in General Choi's office the next morning. The general pushed a folder across his desk. "These are the satellite images from the night your wife disappeared," General Choi said. "Look at this one." Ta picked up a photo showing his neighborhood from above. A strange light hovered over his house. It wasn't like any aircraft he knew. "What is this?" Tai asked. "We think it's a Vresk ship," said General Choi. "We've been tracking them for 3 years now. They've taken people before." Tae's hands tightened on the photo. "Why didn't you tell me? I could have protected Ju." "It's top secret, Commander. Even you didn't have clearance." The general sighed. "But now that they've taken your wife, you're part of this." Tae learned that 3 other people from his town were missing, all taken in the same way, all in the middle of the night. "What do these aliens want? Why take my wife?" "We think they're studying us," said General Choi. "Learning our weaknesses." Tae stood up. "I need to find her." "That's impossible. They're in space, Commander." "Nothing is impossible, sir. Not when it comes to getting Ju back." Light years away, Ju Kim opened her eyes. She lay on a hard surface in a white room. The air smelled clean but strange, like metal and something sweet. She sat up slowly, checking herself for injuries. She was still in her clothes from last night, her kitchen apron still tied around her waist. The last thing she remembered was making dinner, waiting for Tae to come home. Then a bright light. Then nothing. Ju looked around the room. No windows, one door with no handle. A small sink in the corner. This was a cell. The wall opposite her bed suddenly turned clear, like glass. On the other side stood 3 tall beings. They had grayish-blue skin. Large, dark eyes. Long arms with 4 fingers each. Aliens, real aliens. Most people would scream or cry. Ju did neither. Instead, she stood up and walked to the glass. "Why have you taken me?" she asked calmly. The aliens looked at each other, surprised. They hadn't expected this reaction. One of them spoke. The words came from nowhere and everywhere at once. "You are made of Earth, military leader. You will help us understand humans." Ju almost smiled. They had made a big mistake. They thought she was just Ta's wife. They didn't know she was Lieutenant Colonel Ju Kim of Military Intelligence, currently on leave. "I want to speak to whoever is in charge," she said. The aliens whispered to each other. They hadn't expected a demand from their prisoner. "You are not in position to make requests," one said. "I think I am," Ju replied. "You've made a serious mistake taking me. My husband will come for me. And he won't come alone." The aliens didn't know that Tae had access to secret military projects. They didn't know he would do anything to find her. "Human military cannot reach us," an alien said. "We are safe." Ju walked back to her bed and sat down. "We'll see about that." When the aliens left, Ju began exploring her cell. She tested the sink. Real water came out. She checked the bed. It was attached to the floor. She examined every inch of the walls, looking for weaknesses. In her years of military training, she had learned how to escape enemy capture. This was different, but the same rules applied. Study your captors. Learn their routines. Find their weaknesses. Ju noticed a small vent near the floor, too small to crawl through, but perfect for listening. She put her ear against it and heard the aliens talking. "The human female is not afraid," one said. "This is unexpected." The others screamed and cried. Another replied, "This one is different. Perhaps we chose wrong. Commander Kim has many enemies. Maybe we should have taken one of them." Ju smiled to herself. Yes, they had chosen very wrong. They wanted someone weak to study. Instead, they got her. 3 times a day, food appeared in her cell through a small opening in the wall. Ju ate it carefully, testing each new item. She needed to keep her strength up. At night, or what seemed like night when the lights dimmed, Ju exercised. Push-ups, sit-ups, stretches. She had to be ready when the time came to act. "I'm coming home, Ta," she whispered to the empty room. One way or another. After 3 days in the cell, Ju knew the aliens' routine. They came to wash her 6 times each day. They always stood in the same places. They always stayed for exactly 10 minutes. The one she called leader always stood in the middle. He spoke the most. The one on the right, tall one, never spoke. The one on the left, nervous one, always fidgeted with a small device on his wrist. Today, Zhu waited by her bed as the wall turned clear. The three Vresks stood watching her. Human female, leader said, "Today we will test you." Zhu looked up. "Test me how?" "Your strength, your mind, your fears." Leader tapped something, and a section of the wall slid open. "Come." Zhu had been waiting for this chance. She walked calmly through the opening, into a larger room with strange machines. "Stand there." Leader pointed to a circle on the floor. Zhu obeyed, but her eyes scanned everything. Exit doors, weapons, other aliens working nearby. She counted 4 more Vresk in the room. "The others you took," Zhu said. "Where are they?" "In other rooms," Leader replied. "They are not important." "They are to me," Zhu said. "I want to see them." Leader laughed. It was an odd sound, like metal scraping. "You do not give orders here." "Then why am I here?" Zhu asked. "Why did you take me?" "Your mate, Commander Kim, has access to Earth's defense systems. We need that information." So that was it. They wanted Ta's military secrets. They thought his wife would know them, or could be used to get them. Nervous one approached with a small device. "This will scan your brain." As he reached for her, Zhu made her move. She grabbed his arm and twisted. The move was simple, taught in basic military training. Nervous one fell to his knees in pain. Zhu grabbed the device from his hand and smashed it against Leader's head. The room erupted in chaos. Alarms blared. Zhu ran for the nearest door. It slid open as she approached. She found herself in a long hallway with doors on both sides. Behind her, she heard Leader shouting, "Stop her. She must not reach the other humans." The other humans. That's where she needed to go. Zhu ran down the hallway, trying each door. Most were locked. One opened to a storage room filled with strange equipment. She grabbed something that looked like a weapon and kept running. At the end of the hall, a larger door stood open. Inside, Zhu saw rows of cells like hers. Each had a human inside. "Hello," a woman called out. "Are you from Earth? Are you real?" "I'm Lieutenant Colonel Zhu Kim, Earth Military," Zhu said. "I'm going to get you out." But before she could open any cells, something hit her from behind. Her body went numb. She fell to the floor, unable to move. Leader stood over her. "Impressive," he said, "but futile." They dragged her back to her cell. This time, they added restraints to her bed. "You will be punished," Leader said. Zhu smiled. "I learned more in 5 minutes of freedom than in 3 days in this cell. That's worth any punishment." Leader tilted his head. "What did you learn?" "That there are 23 humans on this ship. That you have artificial gravity. That your ship is bigger than I thought. And that your kind can feel pain just like humans." Leader stepped back, concerned. "You are more dangerous than we calculated." When they left, Zhu worked on her restraints. They were tight but not perfect. With time, she could free herself. More importantly, she now knew where the other humans were kept. Next time, she would be ready. Next time, she would free them all. On Earth, Ta sat in a small office with Dr. Han, an astrophysicist who tracked objects in Earth's orbit. "This is what we detected the night your wife disappeared," Dr. Han said, pointing to a blip on the screen. "It's not a satellite, not a space station. It's something else." "The Vresk ship," Ta said. Dr. Han looked surprised. "You know about the Vresk. General Choi told me. They've been taking people." Dr. Han turned off the recording device on his desk. "There's something else you should know. The Vresk aren't the only aliens watching Earth." He pressed a button under his desk. A hidden panel in the wall slid open. Inside stood a tall, slender being with pale skin. Not a Vresk. Something else entirely. "Commander Kim," Dr. Han said, "meet Rin of the Nari. They've been monitoring the Vresk for years. And they want to help us." Tai stared at the alien called Rin. It was tall and thin with skin like pale gold. Its eyes were large but not like the Vresk's. They were kind, almost human. "Why would you help us?" Tai asked. Rin's voice was soft like wind through leaves. "The Vresk and the Nari have been enemies for centuries. They take. We share. They destroy. We build." Dr. Han nodded. "I've been working with the Nari for a year now. They contacted me after they saw my research on strange objects in Earth's orbit." "And you kept this secret?" Tai asked. "I had to," Dr. Han said. "The world isn't ready to know about aliens. Most people would panic." Rin stepped closer to Ta. "Commander Kim, the Vresk took your mate because they want Earth's military secrets. They plan to attack your world." Tay's hands formed fists. "Then we need to stop them. I need to get Ju back." "We can help you reach their ship," Rin said. "But we need something in return." "What do you want?" Tai asked. "Information about how humans would respond to open contact with beings from other worlds," Rin replied. "And access to your military response plans for alien invasion." Tai thought about this. These aliens seemed friendly, but giving them such information could be dangerous. "I can tell you how humans might react to friendly aliens," Ta said carefully. "But military plans are secret for a reason." Rin nodded. "Fair. We will help you reach your mate. Then we can discuss more." Dr. Han brought out a map of the solar system. "The Vresk ship is here, behind your moon. The Nari have a small craft that can take you there." "I'll need a team," Ta said. "Soldiers I can trust." "No more than 5 humans," Rin said. "Our ship is small." Ta nodded. "I know just the people." On the Vresk ship, Ju had been moved to a new cell. This one had no bed, no sink, just 4 white walls. They were punishing her for escaping. But Ju was not worried. During her brief freedom, she had seen enough of the ship to form a plan, and she had made contact with the other humans. The wall turned clear. Leader stood alone this time. "Your mate is causing problems on Earth," he said. "He knows too much." Ju kept her face blank. "Tai is smart. He'll find me." "Impossible," Leader said. "But we may return you to Earth if you tell us about his work, about Earth's defenses." Ju almost laughed. "I won't tell you anything." Leader pressed a button. One wall of Ju's cell showed an image of another human. A young man, maybe 20 years old. He looked scared. "This human will suffer if you don't speak," Leader said. Ju felt cold inside. This was a test of her loyalty. Country before self. But could she let an innocent person suffer? "Let me talk to him," Ju said. Leader seemed surprised but agreed. The young man's voice filled the cell. "Help me," he cried. "Please, I want to go home." "What's your name?" Ju asked gently. "Dawn. Lee." "Dawn, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Ju Kim. I'm going to get you out of here. But I need you to be brave." "They'll hurt me," Dawn said. "Listen carefully," Ju said. "These aliens want information that would put Earth in danger. I can't give it to them. You need to be strong." Leader cut the connection. "You choose Earth over this human safety." "I choose not to negotiate with kidnappers," Ju said firmly. "Hurt him, and you'll never get what you want." Leader stared at her. "You are unlike other humans we have studied." After Leader left, Ju sat in the corner of her empty cell. She had to reach the other humans again. Tell them to prepare. Todd would come, she was sure. And when he did, they all needed to be ready. In the silence, she heard a faint tapping from the wall. A pattern. Morse code. Someone was communicating with her. She tapped back. Soon, she was exchanging messages with a cell next door. It was dawn. "Others ready," he tapped, waiting for signal. Ju smiled in the darkness. She wasn't alone anymore. The humans on the ship were organizing. 23 people, working together, could cause a lot of trouble for the Vresk. And somewhere out there, Tai was coming. She just had to be patient. Ready. When the moment came, the Vresk would learn that kidnapping humans, especially this human, was a terrible mistake. Tai stood with his team of 4 soldiers in a dark field outside the city. The night was cold and clear. Stars filled the sky above them. "Are you sure about this, Commander?" asked Sergeant Min, his most trusted soldier. "No," Tai answered honestly, "but my wife is up there. I have to try." The other 3 soldiers checked their weapons. They were all from Ta's special unit. All had seen strange things during their service. None had ever expected to fly on an alien ship. A light appeared in the sky, growing larger as it came closer. No sound, no wind, just a soft blue glow that lit up the field. "That's not one of ours," whispered Officer Sun, the youngest team member. The Nari ship landed gently on the grass. It was smaller than Tai expected, smooth and round, like a silver seed. A door opened in its side, and Rin stepped out. "We must hurry," Rin said. "The Vresk ship has changed position. It's moving behind your planet where our sensors cannot track it well." The inside of the Nari ship was tight. The 5 humans had to sit close together in a room meant for smaller beings. The walls glowed with soft light. Strange symbols moved across screens. "How long until we reach the Vresk ship?" Tai asked. 3 of your Earth hours," Rin replied. "You should prepare yourselves. The Vresk will fight to keep their human prizes." As the ship rose into the night sky, Earth quickly grew small below them. Soon it was just a blue ball, then a distant point of light. The soldiers stared in wonder. No human had ever traveled this far, this fast. "We're making history," Officer Sun said softly. "Let's hope we live to tell about it," Sergeant Min replied. On the Vresk ship, Ju had been busy. Through tapping messages to other cells, she had created a map of the ship in her mind. She knew where most humans were held. She knew the Vresk routines. She even knew about a weakness in their ship's systems. Don, in the cell next to hers, had worked on the ship's cleaning crew before trying to escape. He had seen the Vresk control room. Through their wall tapping, he told Ju about a main power system that controlled all the doors. "If that system fails," Don tapped, "emergency doors open, not close." This was important. If they could cause a power problem, all cell doors would open automatically. Ju now had daily sessions with Leader. He still tried to get information from her. She gave him nothing useful, but each meeting was a chance to learn more about the ship, more about the Vresk. Today, Leader seemed worried. "Your Earth governments are looking for you and the other humans," he said. "They have new scanning technology. This is unexpected." Ju hid her smile. This was good news. Earth knew something was wrong. They were looking. Maybe Ta had already told them about the Vresk. "You should return us to Earth," Ju suggested, "before things get worse for you." Leader made a sharp sound. "Worse for us? Your species is primitive. You cannot harm us." "Then why are you worried?" Ju asked. Before Leader could answer, alarms began to sound throughout the ship. A voice spoke in the Vresk language. Leader moved quickly to a wall panel. "Impossible," he said. "A ship approaches. Not Earth technology." Ju's heart raced. Could it be rescue? Had Earth somehow made contact with other aliens? Leader turned to her. "Your mate is more resourceful than we calculated, but it will not save you." He rushed from the room. Ju immediately began tapping messages to Dawn. "Rescue coming. Be ready. Tell others." She felt the ship moving, turning. The Vresk were trying to escape or hide. But if Tai was out there, he would find a way to reach her. She just needed to be ready. Ju looked around her cell one last time. For 2 weeks, she had been a prisoner here. She had learned, watched, and planned. Now it was time to act. She pressed her ear to the wall, listening to the chaos outside. The Vresk were not prepared for this. They had thought themselves safe. They had thought humans were weak. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The Nari ship moved silently through space, approaching the much larger Vresk vessel. From the control room, Ty could see the enemy ship. It was huge and dark, like a metal mountain floating in space. Their weapons are powering up, Rin said, hands moving over the glowing controls. They know we're here. Can they hurt us? Asked Officer Sun. Yes, Rin replied simply, but we are faster. And we have friends. As if on cue, 3 more Nari ships appeared from behind Earth's moon. They were small but quick, darting around the Vresk ship like bees around a bear. A distraction, Rin explained. They will keep the Vresk busy while we dock at their lower section. Ty checked his weapon one last time. It wasn't his normal gun. The Nari had given each human a small device that shot bursts of energy. This will stun the Vresk but not kill them, Rin had explained. We do not wish for deaths if we can avoid it. Ty wasn't sure he felt the same way. These aliens had taken his wife, but he agreed to use the Nari weapons. For now. 2 minutes until docking, Rin announced. The Vresk do not yet know our plan. The ship shook as the first Vresk weapons fire missed them by meters. The Nari vessel dived under the giant alien ship, finding a small entrance bay near the bottom. With a soft thump, they connected to the Vresk ship. Rin touched a panel, and a door opened in the floor. This leads into their lower levels, Rin said. The human captives are kept on level 3. Your mate is likely in a special section, level 2. How do we get back to this ship? Sergeant Min asked. You have 4 hours, Rin said. After that, we must leave or be captured ourselves. Ta nodded. 4 hours is enough. Let's go. Ju felt the ship shake from weapons fire. The rescue was happening now. She had to act. For days, she had been working on the wall panel in her cell. The Vresk thought it was solid, but she had found a loose section. Behind it were wires and circuits. Dawn had told her which ones controlled the door locks. With her fingers bleeding from the effort, Ju finally pulled the right wire loose. Her cell door slid open. She stepped into the hallway. Alarms were blaring. Red lights flashed. No guards in sight. They were all busy with the attack. Ju ran to the next cell and found the same panel. In seconds, she had that door open too. Dawn stepped out, blinking in the bright light. You did it, he said in wonder. We're not free yet, Ju replied. Help me with the others. Together, they moved down the hall, opening each cell. Soon, 23 humans stood in the corridor, looking to Ju for direction. The ship is under attack, she told them. Probably humans with help from other aliens. We need to reach the shuttle bay on level 4. Dawn knows the way. What about the Vresk? A woman asked. They'll try to stop us. They're busy with the attack, Ju said. And we outnumber the guards left on this level. Stay together. Follow Dawn. I have something else I need to do. You're not coming with us? Dawn asked, worried. I need to find the ship's control room, Ju explained. I can help the rescue team from there. And I need to find my husband. He's here. I can feel it. Dawn nodded. Good luck. As the group followed Dawn toward the lower levels, Ju moved in the opposite direction. She needed a weapon, and she knew just where to find one. Tai and his team moved through the dark corridors of the Vresk ship. They had already stunned 3 guards without raising an alarm. Rin had given them small devices that showed a map of the ship. They were getting close to level 2, where Ju might be held. Commander, look, whispered Officer Sun, pointing down a side corridor. A group of Vresk guards was rushing away from them, towards some kind of disturbance. Something's happening, Sergeant Min said. Maybe the Nari attack is working. Tai checked his map device. This way. There's a lift that can take us to level 2. They moved quickly, following the map. The ship was huge, with countless hallways and rooms. Finding one person would be nearly impossible without help. As they turned a corner, Tai suddenly stopped. At the end of the corridor, a human figure was fighting with a Vresk guard. The human had some kind of weapon and was winning. The guard fell to the floor. The human turned. It was Ju. For a moment, neither moved. Then Ju ran toward Tai, and he ran toward her. They met in the middle of the corridor, holding each other tightly. "I knew you'd come," Ju said, her voice strong despite everything. "Always," Tai replied. "Are you hurt?" "No, but we need to move quickly. I freed the other humans. They're heading for the shuttle bay." Ta looked at his wife with pride and amazement. He had come to rescue her, but she had already rescued herself and the others. "That's my wife," he said with a smile. "Now let's get off this ship." Tai, Ju, and the rescue team moved quickly through the Vresk ship. Alarms still blared around them. "We need to get to the control room," Ju said. "I learned something important during my time here." "The extraction point is the other way," Sergeant Min argued. "We have less than 3 hours before the Nari ship leaves." "Trust me," Ju said firmly. "This is bigger than just our escape." Ta looked at his wife. Even after 2 weeks as a prisoner, she stood strong and sure. If she said the control room was important, he believed her. "Lead the way," he told Ju. They moved up 2 levels, stunning 3 more Vresk guards on the way. Ju guided them through the maze-like corridors with confidence. "How do you know where to go?" Officer Sun asked in wonder. "I mapped the ship in my head," Ju explained. "The Vresk thought I was just a scared wife. They didn't guard their words or actions around me." Finally, they reached a large door with strange symbols. Ju pointed to it. "The control room is through here. It will be heavily guarded." Tai signaled to his team. They took positions on either side of the door. "What's the plan once we're inside?" "I need access to their main computer," Ju said. "The Vresk have been taking humans for years, not just weeks. They're studying us for a reason." Ta nodded. "On 3, 1, 2. The door suddenly slid open. Leader stood there, flanked by 6 armed Vresk guards. "We have been expecting you, Commander Kim," Leader said. "Your mate is quite resourceful, but your rescue attempt ends here." Tai raised his weapon, but Leader was faster. A burst of energy hit the floor near Ta's feet, making him jump back. "We do not wish to harm you," Leader said. "You are too valuable." "What do you want from us?" Ta demanded. Leader stepped aside. "Come in and see." With weapons still pointed at them, Tai and his team entered the control room. It was huge, with screens showing Earth, the moon, and the stars beyond. In the center was a large table with a glowing display. Ju moved directly to the table. "Show them," she commanded Leader. Surprisingly, Leader obeyed. He touched the table, and an image appeared above it. A strand of DNA, spinning slowly. "Human DNA," Leader explained. "It contains something unique, something we need." The image changed to show sick Vresk, their skin gray and peeling. "Our people are dying of a disease," Leader continued. "It affects many species across the galaxy. Only humans seem immune." The image changed again, showing various alien species, all suffering from the same symptoms. "We've been studying humans to find a cure," Leader said. "We take a few, study them, and return them." "Return them?" Tai asked in shock. "You've been returning people to Earth." "With their memories adjusted, yes," Leader said. "We are not monsters. Why not just ask for help?" Ju demanded. "Why kidnap people? Would your governments have believed us, or would they have seen us as a threat?" Leader asked. "We chose a quieter approach." Ju stepped closer to the DNA display. "You found something in our genes, didn't you? That's why you're telling us this now." Leader nodded. "Yes, a protein in human blood can stop the disease, but we need more than a few humans can provide. We need your world's cooperation." "So you kidnapped the wife of a military commander?" Tai asked angrily. "How does that help?" "We did not know who she was," Leader admitted. "A mistake. But now you are here, with access to Earth's leaders. You can help us make contact, properly this time." Ta looked at Ju. She nodded slightly. "If what you say is true," Ta said, There may be a way to work together. But first, you release all humans on this ship, and your ship stops taking people without permission, Ju added. Leader considered this. Agreed. But you must help us contact your leaders. Without the cure, billions will die across many worlds. The room fell silent. What had started as a rescue mission had become something much bigger. First contact between Earth and the wider galaxy, with the fate of billions hanging in the balance. We'll help, Ju said finally, but on our terms, not yours. Tay took her hand. Together, they had faced alien kidnapping, space travel, and now stood ready to change human history forever. The Nari should be part of this too, Ta said. All three species working together. Leader looked surprised. The Nari? You have contacted them. They helped us reach your ship, Tai explained. I think it's time everyone started talking instead of fighting. Leader touched another control. The alarms throughout the ship fell silent. Perhaps, he said, this mistake, taking the wrong human, may lead to something important after all. 2 hours later, 3 species sat around the large table in the Vresk ship's meeting room. Tai and Ju represented humans. Leader and 2 other Vresk officials represented their kind. Rin and another Nari had joined them after a careful truce was arranged. The other humans, including Dawn and the rescue team, waited in a comfortable room nearby. No one was a prisoner anymore, but tension still filled the air. So let me understand this clearly, Rin said, voice cool and measured. You have been taking humans without permission to study them, and now you want their help. Leader's skin changed color slightly, showing embarrassment. We were desperate. The disease has killed millions of our people already. That doesn't excuse kidnapping, Ju said firmly. No, it doesn't, Leader agreed. But now we have a chance to make things right. Ta looked at the data on the screen. The Vresk had proven their claims. The disease was real. It had spread to 12 different species across 50 star systems, and human blood did contain a protein that could help create a cure. We need to take this to Earth's governments, Ta said, but carefully. People will panic if alien ships suddenly appear in the sky. They must decide quickly, Leader said. The disease spreads fast. Already, 2 Nari worlds have reported cases. Rin looked alarmed. This is the first I've heard of this. Our scientists reported no cases on our worlds. It began 3 days ago, Leader explained. Your leaders may be keeping it quiet to prevent fear. The room grew tense again. If the Nari were now affected, the situation was even more urgent. Ju stood up. Before we go further, I want to see your research. All of it. Show me what you've learned about this human protein and how it works against the disease. Leader hesitated. Our research is not complete. That's why we need more human samples. Samples, not people, Ju insisted. And only with permission. Leader agreed. He led Ju to a smaller room off the main control center. Inside were screens filled with medical data and images of cells fighting the disease. Ju studied the information carefully. Her military training had included basic medical knowledge. What she saw troubled her. This protein works, she said, but only temporarily. The disease adapts and returns stronger. Leader nodded sadly. Yes, we need to understand more about human genetics to create a permanent cure. Ju thought for a moment. On Earth, when we develop vaccines, we often need thousands of volunteers, but we don't kidnap them. Back in the meeting room, Ju shared what she had learned with Tai and the others. We need to establish proper protocols, she said. Medical ethics, fair exchange, and guarantees of safety. Agreed, Ta said. He turned to Leader. Here's what we propose. We take this information to select Earth scientists and military leaders first. If they verify your claims, we help arrange formal contact. And the Nari must be part of all agreements, Rin added. Leader looked at his fellow Vresk officials. They spoke quietly in their own language before turning back to the group. We accept these terms, Leader said. But time is short. How quickly can you arrange this meeting on Earth? Ta smiled. More quickly than you might think. General Choi has been preparing for possible alien contact for years. He has a team ready. Ju looked at her husband with surprise. You never told me about that. Top secret, Tai replied. Just like your intelligence work that you never told me about. They both laughed, relieving some of the tension in the room. There's one more thing, Ju said, turning serious again. The Vresk must release all human DNA and tissue samples they've collected without permission, and they must share all research findings with Earth scientists. Leader seemed ready to object, but one of his officials touched his arm. After a moment, Leader nodded. Agreed, he said. We will prepare the data now. As the meeting continued, Tai took Ju's hand under the table. What had started with her kidnapping was now leading to humanity's first official contact with alien civilizations. Their lives, and life on Earth, would never be the same. Are you ready for this? Ta whispered to Ju. She squeezed his hand. Ready as I'll ever be. But I think we just changed human history. All because they kidnapped the wrong wife, Ta said with a small smile. 3 months after the events on the Vresk ship, Tai and Ju stood in a special room deep beneath a government building in Seoul. Around them were Earth's top scientists, military leaders, and a few carefully selected government officials. On a large screen, leader of the Vresk and Rin of the Nari appeared from their ships in orbit. The early trials are promising, said Dr. Park, head of the new interspecies medical research team. The vaccine based on the human protein and Nari stabilizing compounds is working. The disease has stopped spreading on 2 Vresk worlds. General Choi nodded in approval. And our security protocols are holding. The public still doesn't know about our visitors, though we'll need to tell them soon. Ju stepped forward. I believe it's time. The longer we wait, the harder it will be. Since returning to Earth, Tai and Ju had become key members of the newly formed First Contact Division. Their experience with both alien species made them perfect for the role. We agree, Rin said from the screen. Our ships cannot remain hidden forever. Already, amateur astronomers have noticed unusual objects in orbit. Leader added, and we need more human volunteers for the next phase of vaccine development. That will be impossible without public knowledge. The room fell silent as everyone considered the enormity of what would come next, telling humanity they were not alone in the universe. We've prepared announcement protocols, Ta said. Selected news agencies, live broadcasts, and carefully controlled public appearances. We can be ready in 2 weeks. The plan was approved. For the next 14 days, Ta and Ju barely slept as they prepared for humanity's biggest moment. On the morning of the announcement, they stood in their kitchen, drinking coffee together. It was the first quiet moment they'd had in months. Do you ever think about it? Tai asked. How different things would be if they had taken someone else that night. Not the wife of a military commander who also happened to be an intelligence officer. Ju smiled. I think about it all the time. If they had taken anyone else, we might be at war with the Vresk now, or still completely unaware of what's out there. Instead, we're helping save billions of lives across the galaxy. All because they kidnapped the wrong wife, Ju said with a laugh. Later that day, as the world leaders prepared to make their announcement, Tai and Ju waited in a side room with Don Lee. He had become part of their team, using his experience on the Vresk ship to help design safe communication systems. Nervous? Don asked them. A little, Ju admitted. Everything changes today. It already changed when they took you, Don said. The rest of us just didn't know it yet. On screens around the world, presidents and prime ministers appeared together in an unprecedented joint broadcast. They spoke carefully, explaining that Earth had been visited by 2 alien civilizations seeking help with a medical crisis. They emphasized that the contact was peaceful and that protocols were in place to ensure human safety. Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. On a specially built landing pad, Visible to millions through live cameras, a small Neri ship descended from the clouds. Behind it, a Vresk shuttle followed. For the first time in human history, alien visitors landed openly on Earth. As the ship's doors opened, Tai and Ju stepped forward as humanity's representatives. They had faced abduction, space travel, and interspecies negotiation. Now they would help guide Earth into a new era. That night, after the historic meetings were over, Tai and Ju sat on their porch, looking up at the stars. "You know," Ju said quietly, "I'm actually glad they took me." "You are?" Tai asked in surprise. "Yes, because it was me, not someone else. I had the training to handle it. I had you coming for me. And together, we helped change everything." Tai put his arm around his wife. "I'm just glad to have you back." "I never left," Ju said with a smile. "I was just opening a door to something bigger." Above them, the stars seemed brighter now that they knew what, and who, was out there. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, all because aliens had kidnapped the wrong wife.